journal topics. One was a reading response topic in which you would be asked to respond to something you've read. The other was a PK topic that was designed to give you some prior knowledge about something you were going to read. And the third kind was this kind. Who remembers what this word means? Who remembers what this word means? Sandra?
Thinking about what you've learned.
Thinking about what you've learned. Okay? Does everyone remember that? Everyone has that written down somewhere? Okay? So JD, can you tell me how this is a metacognitive topic? How is this journal topic a metacognitive journal topic?
What is it about?
What? Okay. Valerie, can you tell me how this is a metacognitive journal topic?
Because it has to do with reading and how we understand.
Okay, so rather than ask you to respond to something you've read or having you look forward to something you're going to read, this is asking you to do some thinking about your experience with this type of thing, okay? So this is a Peanuts cartoon. There are two students here.
Yeah.
One student says, okay, Marcy, I've finished reading this book, Silas Marner, now what do I do? And Marcy says, now you write your report. And the other gal says, you're kidding, on the book? Why not? Did you actually read it? Yes, but I didn't pay any attention. Okay, so.
I know the person's name.
What?
I know the person's name.
What?
I said I know the person's name.
What's her name?
Peppermint Patty.
Yes, the other one is, the other girl is Peppermint Patty. Okay, these are from a very famous cartoon. Okay, so what's the first thing that Peppermint Patty didn't do that you guys have learned to do in this class? Follow directions. She didn't read and follow the directions before she started her assignment, okay? Because now she's having to ask this other student, now what do I do? So A, she didn't read the directions in the first place, and B, she isn't going back to them, if she even still has them, which it doesn't look like she does, and finding out what she's supposed to do. Okay, what's the second thing she didn't do?
Do not pay attention.
Yeah, she didn't apply any of the strategies that we have learned in this class. So that by the time she was finished reading the book, she would be able to discuss it, write about it. She didn't know what the main idea was. She didn't know what was going on. Okay? Has anyone ever found themselves in this position? Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's how this applies as a metacognitive topic. You need to assess this situation, ask yourself if you have ever been in that situation, and what you know to do now so that you don't find yourself in a situation in your college. Okay? Yes. Okay, Michael, for that kind of stuff, we're doing something else right now, so you need to come ask me in the office about that kind of stuff. Okay, does this make sense? Okay, here's what's happening. Remember, and one of the reasons that I'm giving you a metacognitive topic today instead of my usual PK topic, which gives you something to think about before you start reading. Oh. Okay, I just turn this over. Okay, so we turn the page over here. Remember that you guys don't have a class meeting on next Monday, okay? Which I'm gonna remind you on Wednesday, but remember we do have a journal check on this day, all right? What I think I'm gonna have you do here is, yeah, okay. The thing that has changed a little bit is, it turns out I have had an emergency situation. I cannot be on campus on Thursday. The only way that affects you guys is that I don't have an office hour that day. But it does affect the Tuesday-Thursday class, and that they don't have class on Thursday. So it worked out kind of good because you both get a day off. All right, you guys get Monday, and the other class gets Thursday. So what I'm doing is, they're gonna do their reading and writing exercise this Thursday instead of this Thursday. So we're kind of dealing with the two classes doing the same writing exercise over both weeks. So I'm gonna give you guys will have the reading and writing exercise this day, but I will give you the topic for that reading and writing exercise as something you can respond to after you read. For the other class, they'll be responding to it before they read. But that's what happened, kind of putting one reading and writing exercise for 2 weeks over across both classes. Okay, so that's why you don't have one today, but you will have a reading and writing exercise on Wednesday. So you guys don't have to do anything different. It's just that if you were thinking of coming to see me in my office on Thursday, I won't be there. Okay. So before we get started on the homework, I want to talk a little bit. What?
We only have for our journal, checking our journals, we're on journal topic number 9, right? Oh, it's our handout.
Yeah. And
Oh, that is our journal topic.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's yours. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will remind you on Wednesday about. Okay, like I said, before we do the homework, I want to talk a little bit about the stuff I just handed back. There were some problems, mostly on the vocabulary quiz, mostly on, for some reason, the last 3 answers. People had trouble with 8, 9, and 10. This one about Leona Helms, is that name familiar? Does anyone have common knowledge of that name?
She left her millions to her dog.
Yeah, okay, so she was, back in the 80s, she was a very famous,
Oh my God, I have
very,
picture
very
right.
rich lady. She owned a bunch of hotels in New York, and they were the Helmsley Hotels. So, but the interesting thing here was, JD, okay, this was a contrast, okay? And what most people did was they picked up on that. She made life miserable for her employees, but she was extremely, okay, so people thought that, and a lot of people wrote down this, okay, which makes sense, but then I realized what people were doing was they weren't reading the last part of the sentence, and that was actually the key to the word. I accepted this word because it made sense, but then I realized, okay, this was the part I think people were misreading, partly because if you don't know what indulgent means, it's very likely you don't know what bequeath means. What does bequeath mean?
Almost like inherited.
Well, no, it's the opposite of
Receive.
inherited. It's
Receive.
she bequeathed, meaning she is what?
Okay.
Gave. Yeah, this is in a sense, this is left. She left this in her will. That's what it means, specifically. It doesn't just mean gave, it means you specifically make a note in your will that somebody is to get this, okay? So this is kind of like that gregarious one. It doesn't just mean nice, it means overly generous, okay? If you think about it, you actually probably know another form of this word. This is the adjective, it's describing her. But do you ever see these ads that say, you know, indulge yourself in a, you know, triple coffee mocha or whatever? What does that mean? Does it say indulge yourself? Treat, exactly. So if you're indulging, you're doing something special for yourself. You know, you're on a diet, you say, well, I'm on a diet, but I'm gonna indulge today and I'm gonna have some ice cream, right? So that's what this means. You're being nice to yourself, but in this case, you're being overly nice. If she left the dog, yeah, overly, what it really means is overly generous, okay? So a little bit of problem with that, and I think partly the problem was because people didn't know this word. Okay, the number 9, there were some clues in here, but they weren't flat out restated clues. You had to edit them a little bit in order to get them to fit. So a martyr is somebody who does what? What could you write down? A martyr is someone who
Gave their own lives.
sacrifices their own
Gave.
life. Okay, so, but this is a noun, this is a thing. So this is one that it's kind of hard, you know, I've been trying to get you to get them into one word. This is a person who does this, sacrifices. The other word that you could have picked up more easily, it isn't necessarily absolutely the same, but this was the other key. Martyrs are not always saints, but very often martyrs are made saints. The people we've been talking about that were burned at the stake, they are referred to as martyrs because they sacrifice, in a sense, they sacrifice their life for their cause.
I put slave, because I have to,
Well,
Kinda.
you're taking, and some people brought the husbands into it, okay? But that isn't
maid,
what it means.
slave, wife,
Yeah, sacrificing their
Person
lives.
Who
Okay.
gave the word?
who bought
Who gave, G-A-V-E, like gave their own lives? Sacrifice and devotion?
Yeah, somebody who gives his or her life.
Oh, I didn't think of
Yeah, okay? Yeah, somebody
So
who-
martyr would mean a person who gives their own lives overall.
Yeah, a person who gives his or her own life. Is what it means. Okay, but this was another one you could have picked up. Okay, now this one, I think a lot of people, this goes back to that, what we were talking about at the beginning of the semester with the people who have very strong memories of a word, and then they start to read a word and they think that's what it is. I think a lot of people were reading this as this word. Is that the same word?
that. No,
How do you pronounce this? This
confidant.
confident.
It's pronounced, it's from the French, and it is the same root as this, but this is pronounced confidant. Even in English, we pronounce it kind of like confidant. He's my confidant, okay? The clue here, there was a pretty flat out contrast clue, okay? He was a confidant of these people. Then he wrote a novel that revealed the secrets of his former friends and was forever banned. what does this word mean?
No longer allowed.
Not allowed. Yeah, he's forever
Required.
not allowed. He's forever thrown out of their circle. So if he was a confidant, and then he wrote a novel, what were these people before he wrote
A friend.
his friends?
And I had it right and I crossed it out.
That's
Just-
basically what it means.
It's a friend.
Okay, yeah, it basically, if you put friend, you were okay. There is a different meaning though, and it does have to do with this word. Okay, this is the adjective. Meaning what? A noun is a person, place, or thing. A verb is an action word. What's an adjective? What does an adjective do?
Describes the noun.
Describes a noun, okay? So if he was a confident person, that's the way you use that word. Which means, here's another part of it. What do you do, this is the verb. What do you do when you confide in somebody?
You trust them?
What?
You trust them?
You trust them, exactly, okay? If you confide in somebody, if you tell them your secrets, then that's a special kind of friend, right? You have friends that you see now and then, but then you have friends that you confide in. So that's what this means.
So it's like a best friend.
Confidant, so a confidant is somebody that you are confident that you can confide in. They all mean, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, a trusted friend, a friend you can tell secrets to, that's really what it means. And then here's this word. They told them their secrets and he revealed them in the Bible. Okay, so then they were his friends. Okay, but I would have just accepted friends, that's fine. Somebody you tell secrets. So all those words are from the same, okay? Yeah, so it's there, now you see it, yeah, it has the secrets of his former friends. Before he did that, he was their confidant, somebody that they told their secrets to, okay? Yeah, that one was pretty obvious, but I think people were reading it as this word. Okay? Okay, any other questions on the vocab quiz? Like I said, these are getting, what happens with these vocab quizzes, and I'm following along in the, like I say, by the end of the semester, you will have done all of the quizzes in chapter 2 of your book, and they get progressively a little bit, the words are kind of moving up the scale of difficulty. Okay, on the reading, most people did really well, and this is something we want to keep in mind as we do our homework today. Most people did really well on finding the parts of this. This first part, what did this tell you? What could we call this first part?
All the
Just what
hybrid
the card
or
is.
Yeah, this is how it works, right. Okay, yeah. Some people, and we need to talk a little bit about summaries versus main ideas. Some people got bogged down in telling me the electric motor goes until it reaches 15 miles an hour, then the gasoline engine takes over, and you didn't need to do all that. Basically, for this, you just need to say it works on a combination of electric and gas. Then most people were pretty clear on the fact that this was the list. Okay, and I think it really helped people. I was interested on the number of questions I got about these questions. Finding the reversal transition and finding the phrases or word that indicates the list. I'm going to have you keep doing that. The only problem I really noticed was that people tended to ignore this last part. So this was the list of benefits. What did this part, what did the last part of this tell us?
Just before you go to the car.
Okay, yeah, so this is a question I asked people who basically had stopped summarizing right here. Okay, if they're so great, why don't we all have one? All right, that's what this was.
And the automakers need to lower the cost.
Okay, yeah, so definitely 3 parts to that. Okay, on the vocabulary, I'm still a little concerned about people, I don't want to accuse anybody, but I'm a little concerned about people who are possibly using their cell phones for these, because I'm seeing, kind of goes in waves. People who are writing down definitions that look too much like a dictionary definition. Okay, I made a note of you, if I thought you were doing that. If you're not, that's fine, but one of the things that was kind of a clue to that, either that or that people are, again, not checking back to see if this makes sense. Is this a meaning of this word?
No.
Gathered?
Yeah,
Yeah, it is. Do you know this saying? Have you ever heard
because
this
reap
saying?
is to collect.
Yeah. Do you know this saying? I think this is from the Bible. What does this mean?
Gather together what you say.
What?
You gather together what you say.
Well, what does that word mean?
What you saw.
S-O-W. What is
So?
it?
So
What do you do when you sow something? Not S-E-W.
What do you put into word? It's kind of like,
Well, it literally means, does anybody have a garden? Anybody
Land.
grow vegetables or
Grow?
cut? It means to literally put seeds in the ground.
To plant.
Sowing, yeah, sowing, to sow means to plant.
So
Okay.
reap means to plant?
Yeah, so you reap what you sow. So this means plant,
To plant?
and so if you planted, if you're planting a vegetable garden, then what do you do when the vegetables
You
are
collect the
ready?
vegetables.
You collect what you plant.
That's this sense of reap. This sense of gather has to do with harvest. This means harvest.
You put harvest for
Okay,
reaping.
yeah, you harvest what you sow, you harvest what you plant, okay?
we just put gather for reap.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get at. That's what a lot of people put down, but it doesn't make any sense in the sentence, in the reading. So again, people are putting something down here and they're not checking the sentence that it appears in the reading. So this is my point. This is a sense of it, but it's not what it means in this reading. So you have to get back in there and check to see what makes sense. Okay? So if you had trouble with that, I marked that. Again, I'm not picking on anybody in particular, I'm just announcing to all the classes. My suspicion is that this was a word that would pop up if you typed it into dictionary.com. It might pop up, you know what I'm saying? And that's not the right answer. So if you're doing that, please stop. Okay, the point in this class is to use the context clues, not the dictionary. Okay? Okay, this was another one that I was kind of disappointed that a lot of people missed this one. What does this root mean?
That is excellent.
Sandra?
Well, before that, before going on, your answer for reap, what was the answer for that one? Is it
Well,
get or something?
Let me come in and talk to you, because the thing is that several people are still working on it. I don't want to just give answers out. I want people to get it from the context.
Oh, okay, that's fine,
Okay?
that's fine, got it.
Yeah, 'cause, yeah, if
Okay,
you
go
got it
ahead.
right, you're okay. But I don't want to just give answers out. What is the, what does this root mean? We've talked about this before in class.
Above.
Above, yeah, above, beyond. So an adjective, if you were describing something, and said, this is superlative. That's how you pronounce it. It's not, it looks like it should be superlative, but it's pronounced superlative. What are you saying about that thing? So you say, well, this car is good, but this one is superlative.
Great. That's what
Yeah,
excellent.
it means it's above and beyond, it's much better than the other car. Okay, so even if you had just written down this, I would have counted it right.
Excellent is the same thing.
Yeah, excellent work.
Excellent, because it's above good, it's above
Excellent,
good.
good, yeah, even if you just wrote good, I accepted it.
Yeah.
Okay, I think most people did pretty well on the rest of them. It was mostly the number 5 and number 10. Okay, so again, on the one we have on Wednesday, there will be the same kind of questions here. So if you didn't have that list of transitions and other words that I gave you, you need to find that. And then today, we will, Wednesday, we will also have the topic sentence question.
Number one, hybrid, that's what mixture. Have you gotten dinged, then what would be a better word for it? On the, okay, I mean, on the
Let me see.
vocabulary. Hybrid's a mix, correct, or like a mixture?
Yeah, mixture, but a mixture of what? Again, what I'm looking for is that you are using the restatement rule. Yeah, I want
That's too
people
much.
to use the restatement
So we're
rules.
gonna okay to write that whole thing out then?
Okay.
For that
Yeah,
one?
I want you to write the whole
Okay,
thing down.
okay.
If there is a restatement rule,
Go ahead and write it.
you know, there's just too many, you know, some people are suffering because of it, but, too many people are just, not writing them out at all, and they're not making sense, so I'm just
Yeah, I'm
wondering,
just trying to
anybody
shorten
wrong
it,
that
right.
doesn't, that doesn't write out the whole thing. Okay, let's see.
I have a quick question.
Yes,
On the topic number 10, we're supposed to write about about what this happened to us,
Yeah.
anything like this happened to us, number 10, right?
yeah,
Okay.
you're supposed to relate
So I have
it
to
to
do a
the,
psychology.
like we said, it's a metacognitive topic.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so on these homework things, as I've been doing, I'm gonna be asking you different questions about them because this group of paragraphs, these are getting more and more complex in their organization, right? A lot of these, this one is one. This is something where you had to pretty much phrase the topic. The topic actually isn't repeated as a word itself. You had to kind of come up with something, okay? And then as the other thing we've seen is that we've seen here is that the organization of these paragraphs is all over the place. Mostly up until now, we've seen topic sentences at the beginning, then some examples. Okay, some of these are upside down, so that's why at the beginning of your paragraph, at the beginning of your homework, I think it said, this sentence may be anywhere in the paragraph. Okay. So, what did people put for the topic for this one? Did you?
I don't know if it sounds right, but I put monarch, butterflies, and trees.
Okay, all
That's what I
right.
have. Monarch, butterflies, and trees, because that's the
Anybody
two
put
topics,
anything
the
else?
subject.
Butterflies.
Monarch,
Okay.
butterflies, and trees.
Monarch butterflies, but Ginger is right, there's something else. This is one of these ones where if you just put monarch butterflies, I would count it okay if you have the other idea in the main idea. So now we're to that point. Back when we were just doing topics, I might have said that monarch butterflies is too broad and you probably should have something else in there.
Because it talks about both of them together.
Yeah.
Without one, then you can't
So,
have the other.
did anybody put in anything else besides trees?
Farmers,
Forests, okay, the farmers are in there too. What are the trees?
their home.
Their home,
They're
okay.
nesting home
That
for the
was the
winter.
other thing I was thinking, not just trees, but
Their homes?
their home, their habitat. Trees works, but
Forest
this,
too?
but this what?
Forest?
The forest, yeah. Monarch butterflies, I think it's specifically their forest, their trees. The word I was thinking of, okay, so we have forests, we have trees, we have home, okay? The forests inhabited by them, okay? The areas where the monarchs rest, okay? So there's a little bit more going on here. A word that someone in the other class came up with was their habitat. Anybody get something like that? I thought that was a good example, and these other ones work too, the home, the trees, the forests they live in. This was a really good example of coming up with a word that took all of this into account. The inhabitant, the place where they rest.
So we better say monarch butterflies and their habitat,
Yeah.
but I can
Or
still say
their
monarch
trees,
butterflies
or
and
their
trees.
monarch butterflies
Okay.
and their trees, because their habitat is the trees. Okay, yeah, so that works too. Okay, so what is it telling us about monarch butterflies and their trees, or their home and their habitat?
They're in Mexico.
They're dwindling.
Okay, the trees are, what does dwindling mean?
In cut
The
down.
trees
Yeah,
and the
they're
monarch
disappearing.
butterflies.
Yeah, they're disappearing, okay? So the trees are being cut down. Is anybody trying to do anything about it?
I put, to help save the trees and monarch butterflies, nonprofit groups are helping to form another source of income for the farmers.
Okay,
Put it all in one.
is that the main idea? If somebody was gonna read your sentence and not read any of the other paragraph, would they have really the whole idea?
Helping to save the monarch butterfly.
Okay, is it just
And
the
their habitat.
nonprofit groups that are trying to help?
The Mexican government?
The government is too.
Mexican government,
Yeah, the government is too. So
nonprofit
where,
and.
is there a list in this paragraph?
Not really,
No. Not really, there's one, however, way down at the bottom, there's a addition transition. Everybody notice that? Yeah, it didn't come till the very last sentence.
Yeah,
So there's kind of a list right here, okay? There's a list of two groups of people who are trying to save the butterfly. Is there a reversal transition?
Yes.
Yeah, yet, okay? And that comes about halfway through. So yeah, this is one of these paragraphs that's very different from the ones that we've been seeing. What is this first part? What could we call this?
When, and where did they found the
Okay,
butterflies?
yeah. This is when it was found, when the home was discovered, and how. Does that end up to be, does this whole part end up to be part of the main idea?
No.
No. So this is interesting. It's got this down to here. We think, oh, did anybody write some questions about the first sentence? Who was this guy? You know, what was
No
he doing?
idea.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter. You know, if we go back, again, if we go back to our strategies at the very beginning, and I said, look at the first sentence and ask some questions. In this case, it doesn't matter. Somebody else said, oh yeah, I wrote down who was he. We never find out, but we don't need to know. This is just telling how it was found, okay? So the scientists, what does this word mean? Ecstatic?
That they're excited.
They're very excited, very happy. Yet, sadly, that has dwindled because the forests are dwindling. Okay, so people, sounds like people wrote down something like the Mexican forests, the forests in Mexico where the butterflies go, are disappearing. Anybody get anything wildly different from that?
I just put to help save the trees and the butterflies, the Mexican government and nonprofit groups.
but do you tell us why they have to save the trees?
Just
Helps.
that's their winter home.
Yeah, but why do they have to save them?
The trees with the butterflies. The
It
trees
just goes
because,
together.
because the butterflies
They're
need it
together.
to freeze.
Yeah, but why are they having to be saved?
Because the farmers are cutting it
There,
down.
yeah,
for
there
lawn
you go.
maintenance.
Yeah, so there's a kind of a list, there's kind of a cause-effect list here. They're dwindling because the local farmers have been cutting the trees for both fuel and income. Has the government tried to stop this?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
okay. They have not responded to government efforts to protect the areas, okay? So that's why they're gonna now just say, here, we'll pay you if you stop doing it. Okay. So, yeah, it looks like the main idea is that the forests are disappearing. The problem with this one comes with picking out a topic sentence. So Ginger, what did you put for the topic sentence?
Oh, for our main idea?
No, what did you put for the topic sentence? What did you put down here?
Oh, I put number 9.
Number 9.
Is that
Okay.
right?
So, does this really tell us everything? Does number 9 tell us everything that's going on in the paragraph? No.
The 6?
Yeah, yeah, number 9 doesn't really work, okay? Yeah,
What about 6? What about
yeah,
6?
and this is where you
It's
go
number
back
6.
to the one, go back to the sentence that has the reversal transition
You change it to the next.
and try that, yeah. The only problem with that is, the only problem with that one is it doesn't have in it the idea that there are efforts to save it, to save the forest. Okay? But here's where we fall back on the idea of the title of this list. So this is another strategy when dealing with trying to pick a topic sentence. There is no sentence. If you said here, the monarch butterfly's habitat is dwindling because of logging and several people are trying to save it. Okay, that's what I would write down for the main idea of this thing, okay? But there's no one sentence that has all of that in there, okay? So then you have to go to picking apart a paragraph to see what purpose each sentence serves. This whole thing, we've decided, is the story of how and when these trees were discovered. This is the reversal idea. The rest of it is all this discussion about the farmers and the, what would we call them, the savers, the people trying to save it. So the only sentence that's not an introduction and not about what's going forward is this one. So sometimes you have to fall back on that strategy. You just have to find different strategies. Okay?
So it wouldn't be right to put the Mexican government and nonprofit groups are trying to help save the monarch butterflies in the trees?
Well, I would accept that as the main idea.
Okay.
The only
Topic
problem with that,
I don't know that.
the only, the reason that's not what the book has, and I don't look at the book when I grade these, is because your topic sentence that you pick isn't right. But I would accept that as a main idea for this. The problem is that the topic sentence is number 6.
So the main idea would be about, hold on,
What did you put for the main
The
idea?
Mexican
that
government.
there are farmers and butterflies in Mexico, but that's probably not the main idea.
Well, is that a complete sentence?
No, it's not.
Okay, so you have to put a complete sentence. What farmers are trying to do what to the monarch butterflies in Mexico?
Farmers are trying to help save monarch butterflies in
No, I
Mexico.
don't think the farmers are trying to save them. The farmers keep cutting them farmers to stop.
The farmers are trying to get rid of the monarch butterflies at
Well,
present.
they're not trying to get rid of the butterflies, they just want the trees.
So the farmers try to get rid of monarch butterflies' homes.
No, they're,
No.
the farmers are trying to get the trees from
Oh,
logging.
save the trees.
For revenue.
Farmers are trying to live, they're trying to survive. Yeah, that's what it says here, logging is a yeah, this is a different situation from here, you know. These people, this is how they survive. What does it mean when it says they're cutting the trees for both
Are trying to help
fuel
save the
and
trees and the monarch
income?
butterflies.
Just the word survival.
So they're using these trees both to heat their homes and to sell to make money to eat. This is a lower level economy than we're thinking about, okay? Yeah, this is all these people have to live on. So it's a serious issue, yeah. Okay, yeah, this is a tricky one. Every semester I get to this one and I say, I need to at least move this to the end and not have it be like the first one. Because it's a tricky one. Some of the other ones aren't quite so bad. Or take it off altogether.
It bounces all over the place.
Yeah, because it raises a lot of questions. Well, it's not so much that it bounces, it's pretty well organized. It's that
even.
there really isn't a good topic sentence in this one. There really isn't a sentence that takes everything that it says into account. That's the problem. Okay, so yeah, 6 is the topic sentence, but I would accept some varieties of main ideas on that one. Okay, this is a little bit different, obviously. Is there a list in this one? Yeah, the list
4.
jumps right out at you, right?
1, 2, 3,
I like
4.
this.
So the question is that list that's numbered here a list that we need to worry about for our main idea? Okay. Yeah, when we see that, we think, oh, good, but then we realize, oh, maybe that's not as much help as it looks like. Okay, do you see a reversal transition?
Yes,
Okay,
Two.
yeah, however. Okay, so if you're told to memorize a list of words like the following,
Topic, memorizing a
yeah,
list of
man,
words.
red, east, girl, winter, blue, boy, south, autumn, north, woman, summer, west, white, spring. Can you memorize that list in that order?
No, not that.
That would be difficult unless you have an eidetic memory. You know this word? What's an eidetic memory? Anybody heard that? That's actually a better, photographic, I understand is not exactly what the memory does. This is the word that they suggest that you use. It's the same idea as photographic memory. So unless you can glance at that list and then see it behind your eyes, yeah, that's, I think it's the same word as idea, I'm not sure. So this, however, this list can be memorized more easily than one might think. What you have to do is find connections between words and then group those words together.
So would the topic be memorization?
Okay, good, yeah. And do you see the word memorization in there anywhere?
Yes.
The actual word memorization? No.
Memorizing.
So Liam, that's another good job of having to give it a name, because memorization itself is not actually in there, but the verb is memorize. Okay. Here's the verb again. Applying this principle, which refers to memorizing it. Okay, and then memory work. Yeah, so the topic is memorization. What about this? Remember what we said about words that are in italics or boldface? Is that it? Did anybody put that down for the topic?
Yes.
Yeah, that would also work, because that's what this is. This is a form of memory work. So chunking is a reference to memorization.
I got a question. Can you put memorizing a list of words?
Yes.
the topic?
Yeah. you could
Because
do
it's got a
that.
list of words?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody got anything else for the topic? Okay, so what is it telling us about memorization, chunking, memorizing list of words?
How to do it.
Okay, it's telling us, so is that what you
No.
wrote down, how to do it?
No.
What did you write down for the main idea?
I didn't write it.
About how chunking is used to help memorize large word lists.
Okay, is that a complete sentence?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I said many students have to memorize 4 different things,
Okay.
which are the
Chunking is used to
American
help
flag,
memorize large words.
males and females, the
Okay,
4
so
seasons.
now we're getting, now Liam's talking about this list. So what is this list? What purpose does this list serve in this paragraph?
It's like an example.
Yeah, this is just an example. So your main idea doesn't, now we find, oh yeah, I see, that's just an example. If your main idea doesn't want to include that, okay? So let's approach the main idea from our